Hello and welcome. It's Chris from ChristopherHole.com. Welcome to the podcast. We're at episode 30 and the topic is probiotic supplements. Are they necessary? Now the short answer is I do believe there is a place for them, but I think the way that food companies are advertising them, how they're marketed, how they're researched and how they're taken on by the public has been slightly taken out of that context. So this episode is just about bringing a little bit more understanding to what probiotics are, how they're used, and sort of how healthy eating and these things called prebiotics come into the equation. And that's kind of the three sort of questions or three little topics that I'll be talking about within this. Is what are probiotics, how do they work, and then we're going to talk a little bit about healthy eating and these things called prebiotics. But before we get into that, just quickly mention my social media, which is Facebook at Christopher Hole Training. Then you've got Twitter at Christopher Hole. And then alternatively, please do come to the website, ChristopherHole.com. More blogs on there. You can find more information around probiotics, prebiotics, healthy eating, so on and so forth. So please do come along to any of those. Like, follow, read along, ask questions. I'd be more than happy to help. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Please leave any comments that you have. Please leave any questions that you may have, and I'll do my best to answer them as best as I can. So, coming back to today's topic, which is probiotic supplements. Are they necessary? So, what are probiotics? So, probiotics are the bacteria that live in your gut. Now, we need to have the right balance of them, because if we have too much of the bacteria, we can get an unhealthy gut. If we have too little of them, we can also have an unhealthy gut. So what we need is the right amount of balance of these bacteria in our gut. There are hundreds upon thousands of different types of bacteria, so it's all about getting the right balance. And I'm a big believer that the body, once given the right environment, can create that right balance. Sort of modern thinking at the moment is at a place where the body can't take care of itself, so we have to do it with our science and with our sort of outside supplementation and pills and all these different types of things. So my belief is if we just treat the body right with the way that we eat, the way that we think, and the way that we move, the body will take care of itself. So that's where this is coming from. So it makes life a lot easier for us, because then we don't have to think about, is my body taking care of itself? Because if we just give it the right foods, it will do that. So what we need to be able to do is we need to be able to create the right environment for these bacteria to just live in their best environment, let's call it. So they can just take care of the food moving through our body, taking what it needs from it, and then passing it through. The next thing is, how do they work? Well, probiotic supplements, they can help redress the balance. So if the bacteria in our gut is becoming too low, if we're not eating the right foods, or if they're getting too high, the probiotic supplements can be taken in. They can help clean through the gut, and then they can help then sort of redress that balance. So it can in some ways reset it. So the best way to use them is with a short-term view. And this is where I guess sort of the first point about the food advertising and how they're marketed is the food companies want you to use them on a long-term basis, which allows you to eat a poor diet and still, in some respects, get away with it. And what they'll say is, well, you could just eat what you want, take this probiotic supplement, and you'll be okay. That's the very basic way of sort of understanding what they're saying. But what we have to do, or what we have to understand, is that eating poorly isn't an excuse so we can take probiotic supplements, or the other way around. Probiotic supplements aren't an excuse for us to eat poorly. What we have to understand is that when we eat right, our body will take care of itself. So what we then come on to is that third sort of question, if you will, of healthy eating. Now, if we are eating healthy, our body will keep its bacteria in the right balance, therefore negating the use of probiotic supplements. So if you get yourself into a unhealthy way of eating, use the probiotic supplements for a short term to readdress the balance. Then what we want to start doing is then start eating in a healthier way. What that will do, that will then fuel the probiotics, because a healthy diet is full of these things called prebiotics. Now, prebiotics, they fuel the probiotics, and they will help keep the balance of probiotics in the gut. If we can continue eating that way, the body will just manage that. If it goes up a little bit too high, okay, it will manage it. If it goes down a little bit too low, it will manage it. It's when we eat unhealthy and our gut becomes unhealthy, and the the bacteria just get out of control, this is where we experience the health symptoms. And this is where probiotics can be useful, because they can readdress that balance in the gut, make the gut healthier, food will pass through more easily, and we will start to experience less of the symptoms of illness. And that's, in a sense, how they're able to sort of show how their probiotics work on a short-term basis. But on a long-term basis, it can have adverse effects. So what we want to start doing is we want to start learning about healthy eating. We want to then start eating healthier. Now, the way we understand how that works, because there's a lot of discussion about what healthy eating is and how to do it, and, you know, should we be eating this and should we be eating that? On a very basic level, it's a whole food diet. So you're eating the food, not packaged processed food. You're eating the food. It's of a plant-based nature. So 80% of your diet is of a plant-based nature. And I know a lot of people would disagree with that, and that's absolutely fine. And we want to be drinking lots of water. And that doesn't mean with substitutes, so with little sort of concentrated juices, or with sort of teas and coffees which have water in it, of course. It's just drinking water. If you can base your diet on those three things, your symptoms of illness will go down. As long as you're eating high fiber foods, which are the plant-based foods, they are the prebiotics. They will help keep the gut in a healthy state. They will help the food pass through it, and they will keep you from or they will minimize your incidences or risk of unhealthy symptoms, if you will. So that's the kind of thing that we want to be basing on. If we then do fall into unhealthy way of doing things over an extended period of time, and we want to get back into our healthy eating, then probiotic supplement for a 1 month period or 2 month period will be fine to reset the gut, and then it's down to the healthy eating. Everything comes back to the healthy eating regime of whole food, plant food, high fiber, drinking lots of water, sort of routine, if you will. And I know it's simple, and it might not be that interesting on face value, but when you get into it, there's lots of sort of full of flavor recipes out there. It just takes time to get to know it, which is a whole different discussion, which I'll do in another episode. So hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully it's given you a bit more of a perspective on probiotics, and hopefully it's given you a better idea of how you use them, and sort of bringing it together with the regime of healthy eating in that way. So many thanks for listening. Many thanks for watching. My name is Chris from Christopher Holt Training. I'll speak to you in the next episode.